Okay, so here's a model of the eye. We've got 3 layers or tunics to the eye. The most superficial or outermost layer is called the tunic. That's the white part of the eye. Except for the front third of the eye, which is where we find it's very clear. This is where you find the cornea, but it's actually part of the sclera. Here on this eye model, you'll see the 4 main extrinsic eye muscles. So we got a superior and inferior rectus, and then a lateral and medial rectus. These are the muscles that allow you to look up, down, left, and right, and then of course also geostabilize. This here is the lacrimal gland, which produces lacrimation or tears. It goes laterally across the eye, helping clean the eye, so it's got an antimicrobial agent and helps just flush things out of the eye. So it goes laterally, so it's up here, goes across the eye. Here, right here in the corner of your eye, there's a little hole called the punctum. Right, so the tears will drain in. That's why, like, if you're crying or you got something in your eye that makes your eye water, you get a runny nose because it drains down into the nasal capacity. But if you're producing large amounts of tears, right, it overwhelms the system. So if we take this off, we can take a look at the other 2 layers. So it's very thin here, but the middle layer here, this is called the choroid. The choroid, as you can see, is represented here. That is the vascular layer, so that's where all the blood vessels is. And then the innermost, which is by far the thinnest layer, is called the retina. The retina is where you find all of the rods and cones, which are graphically represented here. So this would be the rods and the cones. Here you can see the cornea, right? So the cornea, along with the lens, are the 2 things that actually bend or refract the light. So because of their shape, if they are correctly shaped and correctly tuned, it will hit this spot here in the back called the macula densa, which is where you will find all of the rods and cones. Most people have vision issues, and the reason why they have vision issues is due to an incorrect curvature of the cornea. So most of us have a cornea that is too flat, causing the light to hit just in front of the sweet spot, leading to what we call myopia or nearsighted, meaning we have difficulty seeing objects that are further away. We've got 2 chambers to the eye. So behind the cornea, but in front of the lens, is called the anterior chamber. The anterior chamber is filled with a thin watery fluid called the aqueous humor, and then behind the lens, we have this thick jelly-like substance called vitreous humor, which is what gives the eyeball, helps the eyeball maintain its spherical shape to it. Okay. Let's see, what else is there? So here you can see, right, so these are called the ciliary bodies of the pupil, right? The pupil in the iris, the iris, right? So again, we all have the same pigmentation in our irises. Our irises only have black pigment, but light-colored eyes have less pigment, dark-colored eyes have more pigmentation too. The function of the iris, the opening, is to control the amount of light. If it's a dimly lit area, the iris will dilate, the pupil will dilate to allow more light in. If it's a bright environment, it'll narrow up so that we're not overwhelming the photoreceptors in the back of the eye. So here's a cool thing. So if you were to take physics, second semester of physics, you learn about optics, right? So if you look through like a lens right here, so I don't know if you can see. Can you see my head?
The refraction.
Right? So what's going on with my head? It's inverted, right? So I'm looking right now, I can see Lorraine. Lorraine's head is upside down. Okay? So when you look through optics like this, it causes the object to be upside down and inverted. That's the image that is of me that's hitting your actual part of your brain. What does your brain do?
Flipping it?
Your brain just flips it right side up. And so photoreceptors can only be lit up for a split second at a time, right? So your photoreceptors light up, send a flash signal to the brain, right? And then they have to recharge and then send it again. So what's actually hitting your brain is an upside down inverted flashing image of me. What does your brain do? Flips it the right side up and then fills in the gaps in between. But this is where we have glitches in our vision. That's why, for example, if you go to like a concert or like you go to a haunted house and they got a strobe light, right? If we were in here right now and I turned on the strobe light and I was still standing here, what would it look like? Look like I'm moving even though I'm completely still, because what does a strobe light do? Strobe light's flashing at the same frequency that your brain is refreshing the image that's in your mind, right? So your brain is amazing, right? It's taking a flashing, upside down inverted image and creating it the right way and filling in the gaps in the imagery,
Oh, nice.
which is pretty cool. So,
Seems counterproductive. Why
Yeah.
not just take in the image the way that it is?
yeah, so, well, that's, that's why, one of the arguments about one of the best arguments for evolution, right? So if, we were a perfectly designed being, right, we wouldn't have all of these glitches in our physiology, like needing contact lenses, right?
Yeah, is there a reason why a lot of people have vision issues, or most people have vision issues? Like, why are we?
That's the bugs of evolution, right? So that's how evolution, right? So evolution can't start from scratch, right? So we are mammal version, 9,000,000.2, right? So our eyes are evolved from, an ancestor's eyes, which are evolved from another ancestor's eyes, right? So there's improvements to be made, but you can't start from scratch, right? You have to just improve upon what's already there. Animal eyes were originally designed for water, right? So it's when our vision has never been as good since, right? So our eyes are designed to see in water. We do see better in water.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, we got all sorts of bugs in our body because we're evolved from we evolved from another species, and there's slight improvements and tweaks over time, but you can only do so much with the base model and tweak it. It'd be nice if we could start over from scratch, but that's unfortunately not how evolution works.